The Parsha of Balak is perhaps unique in the entire Torah from the perspective in which it is written. When we read the Torah, especially from the Parsha of Shmot until the end of the Torah, we are constantly with the Jewish people. We're with them in Egypt. We're watching the unfolding of the Exodus. We're with them as they are traveling through the wilderness and they come to Mount Sinai. We're with them when they receive the Ten Commandments, the Torah at Sinai. We're with them when they build the golden calf, and then later on they repent and they build the tabernacle. We're with them in the tabernacle, in the desert, traveling with them. We are always reading the Torah and looking at it from the vantage point of an insider, somebody who is inside the Israelite camp. Comes along Parshat Balak, and suddenly we look at it from a completely different perspective, from the perspective of an outsider. Balak was the king of Moab, and Balak had heard about the incredible victories of the Jewish people. They were coming to the land of Israel. They were conquering all of the nations that came out to fight against them, and his nation was next, and he was afraid, and he didn't know what to do. And he felt that he couldn't defeat them in warfare, so he summoned a person called Balaam. Balaam was a prophet, a sorcerer, a very lowly person, although he was on a great spiritual level, but his own behavior was terrible. He was a very base person. And he calls Balaam to come and curse the Jewish people. And Balak and Balaam are standing on top of a cliff, overlooking the Israelite camp. And Balaam looks at them with this evil eye, and he wants to curse them. And God changes all of the curses into blessings. But from what we see over here is how an outsider looks upon the Jewish people. Balaam looks at their camp and he wants to curse them. But what happens in the end? He blesses them. Why does he bless them? So, for example, he sees that their tents are designed in such a way that one tent's opening does not look into the opening of another tent. There's a sense of privacy. He sees the tents of learning of the Jewish people, the shuls, the basic shuls that they had in those days, and their places of learning. And he says the famous words, Ma tovu o'alecha Yaakov mishkanotecha Yisrael. How goodly are your tents, how goodly are your dwelling places, O Israel. He's looking at it from the vantage point of an outsider. And I think this is such an important lesson, because in life we're always caught up with our own families, our own communities, our own environments, and we know what it is to be on the inside. But very often we have to take a step back. We can never really be an outsider, but sometimes we have to put ourselves into the shoes of an outsider. How is somebody looking at us? How are people looking at our community? Do they look at the community and they say, well, that's a beautiful community. The people there care for one another. They are concerned about one another. They look after the poor. They are people who are not arrogant and full of pride. They keep the Torah. Or do they look at us with some type of a jaundiced eye? Oh, look at how these people behave. It's unacceptable. They're so snobbish. They're so spoilt. We have to always keep in mind the outsider. How do people look at us from the outside? This is the lesson that we learn from Parshat Balak. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.